Hello, everyone, and welcome back. I hope you guys are doing great. I'm doing pretty good. Um, Not much has been going on here. It's kind of my slow season here in my studio, which is kind of a time that I can kind of pull back and breathe a little bit before things get crazy. Normally January 1st for me is like go time of like, okay, let's get this, new season started. I've already kind of gotten into it a little bit, but normally January 1st is when I get a lot of people coming at me. So I'm enjoying my time here right around the holidays. Tomorrow is Thanksgiving. Um, and I can kind of breathe a little bit before feeling suffocated again by the glitz and the glam of making skating costumes. Um, in my last video that I did, it ended up running a little longer than I had anticipated, so hopefully this video will not be as long because I don't know if you guys like the long videos. Because normally, on average, I hit about 30 minutes. I feel like the last one was close to 50 minutes. Um, but I don't know, let me know below. Do you like a long video? Do you like a short video? Do you want something quick and easy to get in and get out? Or do you like to ruminate in the glitz and glam of what I'm doing? So hopefully I don't think this video is going to be too long. However, I do this. I start talking, standing around, and start jibber jabbering, as I call it, and then we get a 50-minute video. I'm going to try not to do that. Before we get started, I did have a super thanks, and if you don't know what a super thanks is, it's basically a way for people who are viewing this to show some appreciation and to support the channel by throwing a little money my way. And so they have a thing here on YouTube called Super Thanks. It's down below next to the share button. You'll see 3 dots, and then you click on that, and it should say thanks. Click there, and then you can leave me a little donation that helps out with creating these videos. Now, I know I have not been creating the videos like I was a couple months ago, just because I felt like I needed a little breather to figure out what I wanted to do. I think what I want to do is continue on, maybe not weekly, maybe twice a month. I don't know. We're going to see. I just have to I've been quite honestly a little burnt out just with life and everything. And I think I needed a little breathing room. And I feel like I've gotten that. And so I would like to bring a little more content here. I know a lot of y'all, on my last video, I asked, would you like to see a Patreon? A lot of y'all said yes. So I think I'm going to try to figure out how to do that in the next couple of weeks, put some stuff together in December, and then hopefully maybe January, I will have that ready and available. Because I want to have videos that are already there so that when you subscribe, that you will have some content, and then I can add to it. And those are going to be more sewing tutorials. And I think that's where I'm going to put that. Whereas here on YouTube might be just like quick and easy, like little things that doesn't go into super detail, because I'll save that for the Patreon, for the, the people who are really wanting to get into the nitty gritty of how to do something like pattern making, beading, sewing, all that kind of stuff. So I think I'm going to leave that for the Patreon here. Maybe I'll just do my normal, like creating a full skating costume, and showing little teeny bits here and there, but then leave the real nitty gritty to the Patreon. So look for that. However, I'm saying January. It very well could be May, June, July. I don't know. I need to get it together. I'm real good at like having these ideas and then just not having the time and energy to make them happen. But I am hoping that now that I'm kind of had my breather, about to go on a vacation next week with a group of friends, and hopefully after that I can be settled and ready to like really get at it, and do a little more. So stay tuned for that. I'll let you know when that is available. But yes, I think I've decided I'm going to do that Patreon. But I also got to figure out, I have not looked into how you make that happen. All right. But anyway, I think I was talking about, I have ADD, you guys. I'm really sorry. I was talking about super thanks. So you can do a super thanks below. I got one in, and I've promised that if you give me a super thanks, I will give you a super thanks by giving you a shout out in a future video. And so this is a future video. And we have one from Jenny Bryan 6307. And you can leave comments or you can leave a question. I'll answer the question. She just left a comment saying thank you. And so I think her back giving you that shout out, Jenny Bryan 6307. So if you would like to get a shout out in a future video, whenever that may be, could be a month from now. So you have to be patient with me. Or if you have a question, you can leave me a super thanks by just clicking below, and I will give you a shout out so that the world can see your generosity. Now, I think everybody who has done that, it's been great. Okay, so today's video is, I have a beaded dress here that I'm just about to finish up. Still need to do the beading on the skirt. But I am adding in little details here. So you'll see that there are little openings here, and so I'm going to add in some bugle bead detail here that's hand sewn on. So you're not probably going to be able to see this hand sewn on detail from far away on the ice, or if you're on a stage. However, it is a nice little detail up close, and it just gives a little more depth and detail in a costume. So if you feel like you just want to go the extra mile and put a little extra in, I'm going to show you now. So I'm doing 3 different ways on this. I'm doing kind of like a crisscross pattern, and then I'm doing a kind of right next to each other, and then I'm doing a straight pattern. So there's three different ways to do it. It's super easy for this, but I'm just going to be filling in these little holes where there's no crystals to put that little extra detail with the bugle beads. Now, you can find bugle beads all over. You can find them at your local craft store. I think I got these from Cartwright Sequins. So they had these, and I've had these for years, and it was just whatever I had that was red. But you can look on Etsy. You can look at lots of different places. Just search bugle beads or seed beads or sequins, and you probably can find something. And so what I like to do is, first you have to have a beading needle here. So beading needles are real thin. So I have a link below to my Amazon store, which has where you can get a pack of the beading needles. And then I just use regular all-purpose thread. This is not going to be super like stretched upon or whatnot, and it's just little pieces. And I also do tie off after every like 3 beads. So it's probably not going to break. So this is just regular thread. And so, if you need something a little sturdier because you're doing a lot of beading and there's going to be some stretch in it, then maybe get something a little more. But I just always use the regular stuff that I sew with, just all-purpose thread, and it works fine. But you do want to tie off. You don't want to just like keep sewing and not have any tie offs, because then if a little thread breaks, then you're losing everything, as opposed to maybe just a couple. All right, and then I like to use, I have this great thing where I put crystals or beads, and these are just diamond trays. So like, you can do that diamond art. So these are what are considered diamond trays, but they have this little opening here so that you can pour it back into a bag. So I use them for my crystals and my beads. And so I also have this down below in my Amazon store, and then I'll have a direct link in the comments or in the description. But I use this for crystals, and then you can get the tower, and then you can just put all of your crystals in here. So this is something really great to have if you're working on a project that has a lot of different colors of crystals or sizes, and you want to kind of stay organized. I normally always keep like say crystal AB or crystal like up on the top parts, and then I'll use on the projects, I'll use the lower ones, and then switch them out. But this is really has been great, because I used to do it where I would just kind of have them poured all over my table, but this makes it so that I can like pick it up. I'm not losing anything, they're staying contained, and I can just kind of pick from here, or if you're using one of the tools, you can just dot into here. But anyway, I put my beads into this little container. So I have beads, bugle beads, I have my thread, and I have my beading needle. So I'm going to bring you up close, and then I can explain what I'm doing. It's going to be super simple and easy, but this just gives that nice little detail. Like I said, probably nobody's going to see it from far away, but when you're up close and when the person's wearing it, they can see the time and effort that was put into just adding that little extra detail that just gives it a little bit of an extra punch and depth and texture. I'm always loving texture in costumes. So I use like this current dress. It's kind of my wave thing that I've been doing lately, where it's just kind of waves in and out. And so I use lots of different sizes on it. And so it gives it a depth, because if you just go in and you're just using 20 all over, it just looks a little flat to me. But when you can use all different sizes, it just kind of gives it a little more texture. And I love a texture in beading. All right, I'm going to bring you over top, and then we can discuss how I add on the hand-sewn bugle beads. All right, now I've got my little beading needle. You can see that it is super, 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 super thin. And then I've got my tray with some bugle beads. Now this is just like a red with like a little bit of a AB coating, or I think they call it iris when it's on a bead. So it just has like a little bit of a rainbow coating just for a little extra. It's not sparkle over crystal, of course, but it does give a little bit of an extra gleam, as you can see in here. So we're going to start out showing you how I do this, which is going to be in the thicker parts, which is, you know, it's kind of going back and forth like this. And then we have it where they're just kind of side by side. So I'm just going to find an area. So we'll find right here, in this area. I'm going to start here. And I like to put it through. I've got it tied off, but then I'm going to tie again. So basically just tie it to the fabric so then it's in there. And then I will pick up a bugle bead, put it on my needle, slide it on, and then I can start with the first bead. So I'm just going to kind of do it at an angle there. So I have it flat there, hold it down, and then I'm just coming beside it there. So the bead's going to lay there. I'm coming beside here, and then sew it down, put on another bead, and then I'll go the other direction. So you just put it in, and see, this is super easy. But to get it started, to be in kind of the crevice of the V of where there's no beading currently, sometimes you kind of have to finagle it in there, and then once you get into this part, then it's a little more even. But you just kind of see where it fits, and you just kind of fill in. So hopefully you can see this. But I'm just going back and forth with it. So this is still the start, so it's kind of a little narrower. So I'm just trying to get out. And then normally I do, this has been 4 beads, but normally I do 3. And then when I get here, I will, see if I'm a little over, you can then just come right back through and go over near the other bead. Then I'm going to tie it off, just so that if for some reason the thread breaks in one area, you're not losing everything you worked on. So then you just continue to go through. So that's super simple and easy, and it just gives a nice little detail, especially when you're up close. You know, it's always nice, like when you have somebody walk by you and they come up to look and they see the little details that you don't see from far away, and they look up close and they really see, oh, the person who made this really put time and effort into creating this, and it's not just thrown on, and you know, there was some intention. So I like those little details that you may not see from far away, but up close you see them and you're like, ooh, that's really nice. So this is what they used to do way back in the day as well. Like they didn't do all this gluing of crystals. They used to do a lot of hand sewing. So I'm sure those of you who maybe are watching this video that skated in the 80s, early 90s, you remember your mothers, or maybe even yourself, learning to do this and putting it on, and you just took hours and hours and hours. Now pretty much everybody does just glue on with the flat back crystal and just go with that. You know, that gives a lot of sparkle. But back in the day, they really did all this kind of detail, which just is always something that I love to kind of gravitate to, just as kind of like a nostalgic thing of when I was growing up, seeing all those detailed beadings. So we're just going to tie off again. I'm hoping that y'all can see this. Sometimes it's hard to get it into the camera, but I think you can. And then we just continue on. Now I'm going to continue on and finish up this little section. We'll do a little speed round, and then I'll show you the next way of doing it, because this is what I would say is called a crisscross, or Yeah, probably just calling it crisscross. I don't think it really has a name, but I'll show you where you just do kind of like a simple, the little tighter area where you can just do a simple, basically just one side of it where they're just kind of at an angle lined up. So let me finish this up and then we can go on to the next. All right, I pretty much finished that all up. But as you see, I have a little bit of room here. So what I like to do is kind of do 2 straight ones just to end it. And so I will just do one there. And then I like to kind of poke up the front and then come back. And I can just tie it off in the back. So I'll pull it through, make sure everything's nice and flat. And then I can flip it around to the inside just so you can see what it looks like. You just see it looks like that on the inside. So some people like to see what it looks like. I always find that fun to, once I've done all my hand beading, to kind of flip it inside out and see what everything looks like. So just have little, I was calling it crisscross, but I think it's actually more of a chevron because it's kind of going back and forth on each other. All right, so we'll cut that off. We'll tie another knot, and then we'll do an area. We're just kind of laying them on top. So now I need to find a place. Let's see. Well, that is pretty much done. Let's do it right here. Right here on the front edge. Like I said, I still have to finish the beading down onto the skirt, so that it kind of flows better instead of just stopping right at the skirt line. All right, so I'm going to go on again into this little area, and then we're just doing kind of we're just going to do it at an angle coming down. Instead of going the chevron back and forth, we're just lining them all up at an angle. So this is for kind of the slimmer areas, the maybe medium areas, because then, and the real slim areas like right here, I'm just going to do some little straight lines just to kind of fill in. So we've tied off, and then simple and easy, we just kind of line them up at an angle going down the side, and every 3 I will just tie off. So this just kind of helps fill it in a little more when you're doing it at an angle, like that. So as you can see, slight angle, then we'll tie off, just so that if there's any breakage. But this is such a little area that I feel like you could probably still pull it pretty good and it's not really going to break. I mean, it might break over time when the thread wears down, because fabric and thread tend to wear down over time after a couple years. Just kind of dies. So then you may get a couple of areas where it's been slightly pulled at and the thread just is finally like, I gotta go, and it just kind of dies. So just do this and see, it's pretty quick and easy to do this. I mean, it's not a huge area, but it doesn't take too long. Sometimes there's sand beading when you're doing a lot that just takes forever, and this will still take forever because there's a lot of little open areas. But as you can see, this was pretty quick just to kind of throw it together like this, just to fill in. So see, we're already done, but we just kind of did it at an angle. It just fills in that little uncrystaled area with the bugle beads for that nice depth. So then we pull it again around, and then we can just tie off. Now, for the next one, I'm going to just do straight. And so I do those slightly different, and you can use this in different ways whenever doing a straight line. But this is the way that I like to do it. So we're going to do it right here in that area to get some more thread. I like to use Gutermann thread. And I used to get it from, I mean, I order it from a wholesaler online, but I could always figure out my colors from Joann Fabric. But now that I don't have Joann Fabric anymore, I can't go and like check to see like what color I need and then, you know, order in bulk for that color that I need for other projects. So now I'm just kind of blinded. I got rid of Joann. That's just so sad. These beading needles can sometimes be a little difficult to get in because they are so thin. You just have to. All right. All right, so we're going to go into our area here where we're just going to do the straight line. So we start out again. And then, of course, I like to do a knot. Even though it's not out on one side, I feel like this just kind of really knots it down. All right, so we're going to take our bugle bead, put it on, and then we're going to lay it where we want it. And now you can do this two ways. So I'm going to go right down. I like to then come up. I like to go, as you can see, through it here. So I'm coming up, so I'm leaving enough room for a bugle bead there. Now, as you can see on this side, I did leave a little room. There's times that I like to have them right next to each other, but I felt like this would look a little better since these were, you know, the other types where they're kind of next to each other, or they're the chevron pattern. They're right not up next to each other, so this would look best to have just a little space. So you can leave a little space in between, but you go past it. And this just, I feel like, helps reinforce it, and it actually gives it a little bit of a stretch. And you just go then back, and then you come up, and then I can tie this off because we've done 3. The straighter ones you probably want to make sure you definitely tie off. Like you probably could have done this and not have tied off anything and it'd be fine because it's kind of going back and forth, so it kind of is building in stretch. And while doing this technique of going past it is giving a little more stretch, it still can be less stretch. But you just kind of go past it like that, and see you're getting a nice line. Instead of just doing, you know, in and out and in and out, this kind of going forward and then coming back is kind of reinforcing it, you know, because you're kind of doing this with the thread, and so it's not just going in a straight line and then, you know, if it does, you know, it doesn't have any stretch, but this kind of gives it just a little bit of stretch. And like I said, if you wanted to do this where they were connected, you just don't go up as far, and you just butt them right up next to each other. But I just want to have a little bit of space in between. Just go past it. So there's a couple of different ways to do the straight lines, but you know, I like this way the best, where you're kind of going past and back, past and back. It gives a nice little straight line in there. So I'll tie off again. But, well, this is red on red. You're not seeing it. It's just kind of giving a sparkle to the fabric. But, you know, if you wanted to do a contrasting color like a gold or a silver, then that gives a real nice little touch with these bugle beads on any costume. So see, that was quick and easy. We just pull it through, and then I'll show you what the back looks like. So you can kind of see the back and forth coming. So you're just kind of going past it and then coming back, past it and coming back. And then this gives it, let me tie off and I can show you how, like, gives it a nice little extra stretch. See, it's a little more reinforcement, I guess. Whereas if you were just doing like in and out like this, going forward, it's not going to give any stretch because it's basically just the thread like that. It's not going to give stretch, but kind of going past it and then back, past it and back is just kind of reinforcing it. All right, so hopefully y'all like just this little teeny tiny tutorial just to show, you know, how you can give a little bit of extra detail in those areas. So as you see, like this is the area where there's nothing, but then you're just adding that in, and it just gives a nice little extra detail in between the spots just for a fill-in. So I'm happy with that. But see how over here it's all filled in, but then here you have those little. So I think that is a nice little detail. All right, I'm gonna flip you around and we can finish up this video. I don't think this one's too long. I think we might be under the 30-minute mark, which is good. All right, so now we've got that done. As you can see, I can finish up all these little areas and then I can finish the beading down onto the skirt. I need to finish it on the straps and then she'll be done. And I love this one because it's so simple, but it still has that lots of sparkle that I love. All that blinged out. Very one of my icons was Bob Mackie, and he used to do all those beautifully beaded dresses, and he used to just do his with these bugle beads, no crystals. They were just all hand beaded. All the dresses he did for Cher and all those big stars back in the 70s, 80s, 90s, right? And he's kind of coming back around. You'll see Miley Cyrus and Sabrina Carpenter and Pink in some of his work, and so I just love his. It's always nostalgic to me. His work, and he just could fit a body like nobody else. And so he's always been one of my icons. And so I feel like that's probably why I like all the sparkle. But can't wait for this one to be finished and send it off to the customer. Hopefully they'll be happy, but I really love the kind of tone on tone. Because of course you can do this with silvers and golds and other contrasting colors, but when it's tone on tone, it kind of just is like nice and simple, but then still gives that fully, glam look. So I love this. And I love this kind of wavy pattern that I've been doing. I've been doing it on a number of dresses in the last year or two. It just gives a nice little texture, like I said. All right, with that being said, I thank you for watching. You can comment below and give me a little love. And if you want to show some support for this video, you can give me a super thanks. Like I said, it's right next down to the share button right below the video. And there's those 3 dots and you'll see something that says thanks. You click on there. You can give me a comment or a question. I'll answer your question in a future video. I'll give you a shout out no matter what. And then that just helps support me on the channel. I know that I've been not doing a lot of videos the last 3 or 4 months. And I think that's just because I needed to take a step back. Sometimes we need to step back to reevaluate what our life is doing at the moment. And I really feel like I needed that. But I think I'm ready to come back and start doing some videos a little more regularly, whether that's every 2 weeks or whatnot, and then also maybe doing the Patreon, which I think would be fun for the people who really want the detail and the nitty-gritty of what I do to help them out with their costumes. And try to figure it out, then I think that's going to be for them. But then here I'll just kind of show the everyday life of creating a costume from start to finish, or doing little things, or maybe product reviews. I do know I need to buy a new airbrush soon, and so I have an airbrush that I love, but it just kind of is worn out over the last couple of years. So I think I'm going to get a new fresh one, and then I can do kind of like a review and show you how I take it apart and clean it, because I know a lot of y'all asked me about the airbrush. And so I'm going to maybe try to do that once I get back from my trip, because I'm going on a vacation, on a cruise. I love to cruise because I like people to take care of me, and I like my home to travel with me, and I don't have to unpack and repack. But you still get to go to different places, and then you can just be on a ship and enjoy it. And we're going to the Bahamas, so I'm ready for a little sun. Even though Atlanta, sorry, I'm getting to jibber jabbering again. This might be a 50-minute video. Atlanta just decided to not have fall this year. We had 1 week where it was kind of cold, but it's been like 72, 73, 74 the last couple of weeks. It's I'm ready to have a little bit of it, even though I'm wearing sweater right now. I'm ready to have some fall weather, some sweater weather. But I have a feeling it's gonna be warm, and then we're gonna just go into the Arctic. So we're gonna not have any fall. It's just gonna go right into that winter. But anyway, I hope y'all are doing well. So leave me a like, subscribe if you want to see more videos from me. Leave me a comment below as well. I have all of this stuff in my Amazon store now. The Amazon store is basically where you can buy stuff from Amazon of the things that I use, that I suggest, and it gives me a little bit of kickback. So that's another way to help out this channel, that if you want something. I think you can also click on my links below, and then I know it's about to be Christmas shopping. if you then decide to buy other things that aren't linked, I think basically it's just linking that I told you about a product, and then you go to Amazon, and within that session, you buy something. So if you have some Christmas gifts you want to buy along with that, I think it also gives me a kickback. I don't think it's just for like, okay, I put up these little snips on there. If you buy these particular snips through that link, it's giving me a kickback. I have noticed that um, if you click on the snips link and then you decide you want to buy, whatever on Amazon, it gives me the kickback from that. So just something to think about. All right. I thank you guys for coming. I hope you enjoyed this video. I've missed y'all. And thank you for all your kind words. Y'all have really been kind with and patient with me with kind of trying to take a little bit of a step back. But hopefully I'll be back a little more and doing some stuff so you can continue to follow along. And then have that Patreon. And then I also always do I do FaceTimes with people who are sewing and they're trying to figure it out, because I do this every day. So I know, kind of what I'm doing. I've been doing it for the last 30 years. But some of y'all just sew for your daughter or son and are doing 1 or 2 costumes a year. And so like, you know how to sew, but you can't quite figure something out without like just destroying a lot. I do FaceTimes with people so that we can kind of go over like their questions and like I can give them like tips, on specific things to help them out. And I've done that with a couple of people and they've enjoyed that. So if you'd like to do that, you can email me at bg@breakage.com. All right. Got on to jibber jabbering here at the end. I hope y'all have a wonderful holiday season. Like I said, tomorrow is Thanksgiving here in the US, but then before we know it, it's going to be Christmas, and then it's going to be the New Year, and then we're into 2026, which is wild to me that we're going to be 2026. I remember when Y2K happened. All right. I hope you guys have a wonderful holiday season, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.